Hello and welcome to this VMware Cloud Director Availability feature review. This video will show you the vSphere DRN migration in full detail, from the deployment of the appliances to the exact steps for protecting a workload. Let's start with the deployment in the dedicated vSphere cloud. It is a typical process of deploying an OVA template where you need to follow the steps of the wizard. With VMware Cloud Director Availability 4.4, there is a new appliance to support the vSphere-based clouds. On the configuration step, you need to select the new row called vCenter Replication Management Appliance. It is a combined appliance and runs on a single VM. It is essential to mention that this setup doesn't support adding additional replicators or utilizing an existing tunnel. The rest of the configuration is pretty standard. You need to select the data store, network, and provide the VM details such as root password, NTP server, and network settings. After completing the wizard and the VM is deployed, you can power it on. The deployment process in the on-premises data center is pretty much the same. The only thing to note while following the wizard is the new row available for the on-premises appliance on the configuration step. It can only be utilized when pairing with vSphere-based clouds. Like the cloud appliance, the on-premise to cloud vCenter replication runs on a single VM. After selecting the deployment type, you need to choose the storage details, which network to use, and all the VM details. Once deployed, you can power on the VM. When the VM is up and running, you can take the VMware Cloud Director Availability admin URL from the web console. Then you need to navigate to this admin URL, change the root password, and do the initial configuration. When setting up the vCenter replication management in the cloud, you need to give the site a name, provide the lookup service details and SSO admin credentials, and enter a license key. With that, the VMware Cloud Director Availability instance is configured and fully functional. During the initial setup, VMware Cloud Director Availability registers the vSphere client plugin that can be used for managing the replications along with the VMware Cloud Director Availability portal. To set up the on-premise to cloud vCenter replication appliance, you have to navigate to the admin URL. After logging in, you need to change the root password and run the initial setup wizard. Unlike the cloud appliance, you don't need to provide a license key, but only the lookup service details and the SSO admin credentials. Once completed, the VMware Cloud Director Availability vSphere client plugin is registered, and the site is ready for pairing with the cloud. The pairing between an on-premises and the cloud site is a two-way process, meaning both appliances need to exchange pairing information and be accessible to each other. There is no strict order for which site to begin with, and if any NAT rule is configured, it must point to the appliance on port 8048. In this video, the on-premises appliance is the one to start with. You need to navigate to peer sites and click on New Pairing. Then enter the cloud site service endpoint address and port. Optionally, you can create a description for easier identification. After accepting the thumbprint, the pairing process for the on-premises site is completed. Then the same steps must also be performed at the cloud site. There you need to enter the on-premises site service endpoint address and port. Accepting the tampering leads to finishing the pairing process, and VMware Cloud Director Availability is ready to start handling replications. Something important to mention here, you cannot pair between two on-premise to cloud vCenter replication appliances. Protecting a VM can be done in several ways. Through the VMware Cloud Director Availability portal, VMware Cloud Director Availability vSphere client plugin, or directly through the vSphere UI by right-clicking on a VM. To be maximum consistent, any of these leads to the same wizard for configuring the protection. The same is valid for migrations too. First, you have to select the VM or VMs to protect, then the destination site and data store. From the replication settings, you can define the RPO times, set advanced retention rules with different intervals for rotating the instances, modify the disk provisioning type, schedule a delayed initial synchronization of this protection, select disks to be excluded, and more. After verifying that all the settings are set correctly, you can finalize the protection. This will start the initial synchronization, and you can monitor its progress in real time. Once completed, the overall health of the protection becomes green. Keep in mind that you can still change most of the replication settings afterward by selecting the replication and choosing the proper action from the All Actions menu. For example, you can modify the RPO and retention rules, exclude a disk, or pick a different data store. Protections can be tested to confirm that they are properly configured, so can be the migrations too. During test failover, you need to specify the destination settings like VM folder and compute resource. Also, you need to select the destination network to connect for each of the VMs. After choosing whether the VM should be powered on after the test failover is initiated, you can determine whether the VM will be failed over to its current state or an older stored instance will be used. Then you can start the test process, follow its progress, and review whether it was successful. In this case, you can see the VMs created and powered on at the destination cloud site without affecting the source VMs. You can also perform a cleanup with a single click, which will power off and delete the VMs from the destination cloud. The recovery state turns back to not started, and the VMs are no longer present at the cloud site. Failover protection follows the same steps as testing. Again, you need to pick the VM folder and compute resource, attach the VM network adapters to a network, and select the instances to be used for the failover. Then start it. You can follow the progress in real time. After a successful failover, you can see the VMs created in the destination cloud. The protections can also be configured, viewed and controlled through the VMware Cloud Director Availability vSphere client plugin at the destination cloud vCenter. Thanks for watching.